And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 97th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Maddie ALLin with Brisology and ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io. How's it going?
Doing good. How are you guys doing? You guys enjoying that nice little pump today?
I enjoyed getting pumped today. It was good.
Oh,
It was good. Lots and lots of pumpage.
Well, yeah, it's good that everybody's in good spirits, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. So everybody should hit the like and subscribe button and share this out. I really appreciate it, all the support that people have been giving our streams on Twitter and on YouTube. So thank you to everybody who has been sharing this out. Appreciate it. So a lot's been going on, guys. I feel like I have a list here somewhere. I've been traveling a little bit for family things, so I've been a little bit out of the loop on some things, but definitely in the loop on others. What have you guys been paying attention to?
Here I got something right here. Let me share my
Because
screen.
there's a routing conspiracy with the Tang Gang. Have you guys heard about this?
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So there were accusations that one of the PH ecosystem protocols wasn't being fair because people were trying to buy. They were testing out. They were looking on PHex to see where everything was going, and it kind of makes sense to me why. All we have on this show is theories of how stuff works. And
in theory,
but to me, in theory, it makes sense that if you're buying one token and you're using Pulse to buy it, that you might have to route through a bunch of other tokens depending on what kind of liquidity exists. If you're using an aggregator like PHex, and just one of the PH protocols, isn't it a fork of Balancer where people can put in like 3 or 4 or 5 different assets into a liquidity pool instead of just 2?
that is correct. Yeah, I'm no expert on that, but yep.
So it makes sense to me that as a person providing liquidity, you might be getting a different sort of deal if you're putting in 3 or 5 assets compared to just 2. Because when you have 2, you're defining the price of something, but when you have multiple assets, it's kind of imputing the difference between the different pools. And so I guess it makes sense to me that whatever has the best deal is getting the order execution. And so you could have something where HOA is routing through, or if you're buying HOA with Pulse, you might be routing through this, that, and the other thing. So that's good to know.
Right. Well, I think a lot. I assume that everybody knows what we're talking about, but yeah. So when we know we have PulseX up and running, and I think most people are aware that we have a V1 and a V2, which it's confusing. Version 1, version 2 of PulseX, where
Yes.
people put liquidity in, but it is all what you would call type V2, so it's infinite range, right? And so even there with the auto routing, it looks for what it thinks is the best deal, right? When you're on PulseX, and will route you through pairs if you allow it to. There is a setting you can turn it off, right? And so when you're talking about PHex, and maybe everybody doesn't know, I'm losing track. I don't even know if I can give you a full list of dexes or aggregators that are out there, but we now have PHex, right? And of course there's 9mm, there's PHex, so yeah, I mean I'm already forgetting some of them. There's some other ones that are out there as well. And so with PulseX, if you're on PulseX, it doesn't know about these other things that are out there. And sometimes if it's like another DEX, right? It doesn't know about other DEXs. Sometimes people do build in the tools to make them know. Sometimes they don't, right? But the aggregators are supposed to do it, right? And that's what you're getting at is the idea is when you go to do a swap, It's supposed to go figure out what the best path is for you to make your deal. And you
And it
push a
can
button
split
and
on
it
multiple
goes.
paths. It can do 50% one path, 50% another path, or
Yeah, I've seen
any
some pretty complicated
subdivision.
ones. Yeah. Yeah, and if you wait a few seconds, it may change. Which, you know,
Yes.
so I guess I don't. I just recognize that there may be some inefficiencies within the efficiency that that I'm not aware of, having to do with how quickly I push the button and how quickly things are changing. And
Well,
I know that
if
there are
somebody
ways
else,
that they catch that.
yeah, yeah. So if somebody, I mean, if somebody else executes an order that's routing through the pair that you're trying to get a quote for, yeah, it makes perfect sense that the route would change because the best deal has just gotten taken, and then there's the next best deal that's being calculated.
Mm.
So
Yeah. So was there ever an official answer back regarding this from the team? This issue?
because I've been traveling for family issues, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't see an answer either, but maybe
I
somebody will
haven't
tell us.
investigated it deeply, but from a theoretical point of view, just it makes sense that you could still be getting the best deal, and there's nothing silly going on. Um, so
Yeah,
that's good news.
I don't really know much about that. I just heard all of the drama earlier about Buck owning like 100% of the PHex coins, but that was just more of a sarcastic joke, and people took it pretty literally. And so
Wow,
there's a
I
lot
didn't
of
know. I didn't know he was 100% owner potatoes.
yeah, 100%. No, the I guess just people were
I own 100.
given
I own 110%. So I don't know how that's possible.
yeah, I guess people were giving Mateus a hard time. They're like, Buck owns 90%, and they're like, no, he owns 100%. And I
And
guess a lot of people didn't realize that
yeah,
was sarcasm.
Hmm.
well,
Well,
there
that's
you
just
go.
like me saying I own 110%. Anybody who didn't catch it, that was sarcasm and a joke.
Yeah,
Let me just clarify that I do not own 110%.
We can do math. Yes.
I have one. I have one
Really,
other
Maddie?
piece of legit Patius news, though, if you guys want to hear about it.
Let's go.
I
All
I
right.
I want to hear about
So this is
potatoes.
their tweet, and it says the Patius team aims to create an alternative trading protocol as a powerful and unique rewarding as Patia itself. The protocol will feature a dedicated OTC module, customizable DCA module, and a portal for AI-powered trading strategies. Additionally, it'll integrate a limit order protocol fortified with APIs. However, to achieve these goals, we need to expand our team and make more substantial investments. Therefore, we are considering initiating a sacrifice round. Would you be interested in participating if we launch a sacrifice process similar to Pateas? Please share your thoughts and suggestions. Suggest steps we can take. Your insights are crucial. So
Ah, ouch.
they're thinking about doing another sacrifice for a trading platform. What do you guys think about that? What's your initial thoughts?
I'm
It
not. Su-
sounds like it's gonna.
I'm
It
not.
sounds like it's not gonna be just a Dex aggregator like they currently are, but it sounds like they want to become like the next
Well,
Coinbase.
did they, what's their structure today? Do they actually have a company located? See, I don't even know the answer to this. I'm using the protocol. But are they a company, an entity? I think to me it makes a
An
difference.
LLC,
Yeah.
perhaps.
I I yeah, I think like reporting on the fact that they posted that is breaking news to me, which is great. I think like yeah, us speculating as to how we would see that would require more information.
Yeah, Yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. You know, I'm not against
Yeah.
the idea. I know a lot of people are like, "Hey, are you gonna abandon Patias or something?" And I think they
It,
said no, that's not the case.
I would like,
I mean,
no,
yeah.
it's not my opinion. It's not my, what's the right way to say this? Of course, I'm not part of that team or anything. I just use the product sometimes. I would, if it was up to me, I'd suggest going after a different traditional way of getting it funded, um, with a, without doing a sacrifice. But I recognize there's some challenges there.
Go get
Fast
VC money
Abdul
instead.
says their first sacrifice was successful and profitable, I think. Cool. There you go.
Yeah.
And I just like being able to get good deals, and that's why I use Pateas. And when you're getting better deals, even if it's 0.1%, and then you do 100x or 1,000x, that's a good amount of money. You're not just saving some small dollar figure if you're holding onto your crypto through these big developments. So yeah, I'm excited about Pateas, like what they already have, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what other details that they release.
I would just like to say, like, I'm actually not. I know a lot of people in the community are against sacrifices now because it just seems like all the sacrificed projects keep like going down in value. But I am completely not against a sacrifice. I think they're actually kind of a good thing. You know, I think it gives the developers a chunk of money, which, will dissuade them from maybe pulling the rug if, because they don't want to, wait for their product to grow organically. So that's that. And then also, I feel like it's also a good mechanism to use for people who want to cash out early before more people can come in. Kind of helps prevent a death spiral of selling, or it could. And yeah, I know. So I'm not against the idea of sacrifices, um, if they can be used in a way to help propel the project forward. I just want to say
It's
that.
an innovative mechanism for sure, in some ways, and I think the way RH did it is different than the way other projects have. But
And I can
it'll be
understand how
interesting
it
to
could be
look
used
back
in
and
a
see.
I understand how it could be used in a malicious way as well, where people rug the sacrifice. So I
I
get that
I think
too.
we're gonna get a situation where, like, actually, I kind of want to know what you guys think. Like, do you think if RH did another sacrifice, let's say like 2 years from now, um, do you think that would be oversubscribed or undersubscribed in terms of like how people would try to play it? Would people try to like hold on to their assets and then buy the dip when it launches, or do you think people would still FOMO in if the RH tokens are worth a lot in a couple
I
years?
think he would only generate $250 million in funds. So I don't think he
Ooh,
would earn that much. I think people would
even if
sacrifice,
even if we
but you'd
have
only get
new
like
all-time highs
250.
in Hex, even if we have new all-time highs in Hex.
Well, that's the thing. I think have to honestly, people are gonna freaking FOMO in if he does a sacrifice for like a wallet. People are. And honestly, here's my thoughts. I think maybe he will do a sacrifice at the highs to try and get people to lock up that capital and prevent them from
Mm.
selling it and dumping it and taking profits, because you kind of got to get people to put their money in and then leave it in at the all-time highs.
Mm.
Like, not
I mean,
like,
it
here's the sad
that's what I
reality.
meant by
Not
innovative.
What was
That's what I
that?
meant by innovative, because you couldn't have had $1.7 billion sold at the top of Hex. You couldn't have. There was only what 30 million. What was it? 25 or $30 million of liquidity.
You know,
At the
I'm not
all-time
even
high?
sure at the
So-
time, but it was a lot.
Yeah,
A lot
that's
of
what it
people
was.
could
It was
get
something
out,
like that.
but the sad reality
mean,
of these
Tobiwan would have taken
cryptocurrencies.
like half of the liquidity pool just by himself if he sold the top.
Yeah, the sad reality is that not
So
everybody can
if-
cash out at the very top, and
But if
walk
you
away.
sacrificed, then
you talking
you
about,
did
Bruce?
really well compared to not sacrificing. I think, like if you just held Hex and you went all the way down, that was not as good.
Hello. Can you guys hear
What's
me
up,
okay?
Toby?
Oh, you sound
Yes.
great.
Dude, better late than never, right? Jeez Louise. Old people, huh? Can we talk about old people for a minute? Old people, their bodies break down. It's a terrible thing, and it is quite a lot of stress on those of us that care about old people. So to anyone that has old people in their life, you're awesome, and I feel that struggle. But Dad's doing good. Had a little mishap
Respect.
with the scheduling for the we've got some round the clock care that's helping out, and had a little scheduling debacle. So I had to, you know what? It's like, if anyone ever told me I would be helping bathe an 86-year-old man, it's like I thought I saw my dad's junk enough when he was in the hospital, but then it continues. But you know, God love him. He needs the help, and I feel privileged to be able to do it. But
He's just
yeah,
happy
was somebody-
at least someone's looking at it.
right, dude. And do you know what's like really super inappropriate? And I won't like swear or anything. My fiance, no joke, and I mean obviously this was like her way of being funny, and I love her, but she was like, "So does he have a hog?" I'm like,
Okay,
yeah.
look,
You mean a
we're,
you mean a
we're
talking
loving
about a
this
family
side
show?
conversation.
Nobody
right?
knows. Nobody
But
knows what
look,
that even means. So we'll
this
carry
is a
on with crypto,
family-friendly
please.
show, and
Crypto.
yes, crypto.
Yes.
So
I'm
So-
sad and like weird at the same time.
Oh wait, is Briz a disembodied head? That's
Yes,
wild.
he's a
yes,
floating head.
he has taken us
Oh, and the
down
hands
this
too.
like,
That's cool.
path
Are you wearing
of,
like a-
Jazz hands. Show me jazz hands. Come on.
That's just for me and like my love of Pee Wee Herman. Can you say Mechaleka High, Mecha Heiny Ho?
No, my mouth doesn't
so
Doesn't do that.
words.
So
That's funny.
Tam Tam is in the comments and is saying, "Hey, please make it to Vegas if you can. I would love to thank each of you personally for all you do for the community. I have deep love and respect for all of you. That's awesome. Respect.
Thank
I
you.
know I'm going to RG3's and Dollar Cost Crypto's event. I mean, there is a lot of news to be sharing this week. I mean, did you guys catch Dollar Cost Crypto and Cultivate Crypto on this YouTube show that has 1.5 million followers?
No way.
They were
Nice.
talking about
No,
Hex and Pulse
no.
Chain. Yes.
Sweet.
There were
Sweet.
over 5,000 people watching live as they
You know
were
what the name
on
of the
Fresh
show
and
was?
Fit Money Mondays. They were on an episode of Fresh and Fit, which is the
Yeah.
top men's podcast in the world. And it had 2,500 people watching live on YouTube, and then maybe an extra 4,000 people watching on Rumble. So they were out
Very
there
nice.
preaching the good word about Hex and Pulse Chain on, a top YouTube channel in the world.
That's awesome.
Yep. That's great,
Go
man. In real life.
DCC
In real
and
life. It's
Charlie.
like so powerful.
That's right. They rock, and they're doing they're doing their education course that's coming up. I think I'm going to do a special stream with them about it if I can, so that people can find out
Nice.
about that. But the event that they're hosting in Vegas in association with RG3 of Discourse Syndicate, that's going to be really awesome. It's pulsechaintour.com. I already got my tickets to go to Las Vegas March 6th through 9th, 369. And
Sweet.
it's going to be really great. Yeah. So
I was
everybody should
unaware.
try to make it out there.
as they say. Yeah, for sure, dude. I would love to. That might work. Like if everything, knock on wood, stays stable home front wise.
your mic is
My sister
your
should
mic
be in
is
town,
messing
and I
up.
should be able to come out. That'd be awesome. I love Vegas.
Great. Toby, your microphone got shaky.
Did it go? Yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah.
I've been on
Well,
for 5
crackly.
minutes,
Correct.
so this fancy shit I bought is doing good, wonderful things. I'm just gonna switch to my laptop mic. Sorry about that, guys.
So, Maddie, I've been on
Yes.
X.com lately, and I've been seeing these weird little badge things next to everyone's names. What's
What's
up with
up?
that?
You don't say.
What's this badge thing that you're talking about?
Hey, it's in the thumbnail, isn't it? I guess we have to talk about it. Yeah. Did you guys ever think that we would see the day where there wouldn't be so much gatekeeping around here?
Where on Twitter we had our own little. I'm waiting until we get our own little emoji official on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the day. But until then, this is the day where we have our badges.
That's right.
Badges.
This is so it's kind of a big deal, not only because we've always wanted, this type of exposure for people, but basically having the badge here being verified as a verified organization on X or Twitter, it allows these accounts that have become affiliates of this organization, it allows them to get their posts seen twice as much, a 2x organic boost in how many people are seeing your content. And then also there's imposter protection, which is something that we've never really had in crypto. And it's a serious issue that's being solved here. So yeah, I'm like super pumped that I was able to put this program together because we all have this association through the conferences for Hex conference and for Pulse Chain conference. It allowed us to play by the rules that are set out by X and Twitter. And so that's the real innovation here, is like the days and days I spent reviewing all their terms of service to make sure that, we'd be able to keep this affiliation. And so, yeah, it's really exciting. And there have been like 15 people who have signed up for it already. It requires you to have spoken in the conference because we want to adhere to Twitter's rules of like defining an organization. Normally people think of an organization as a business that is like brick and mortar, traditional, old school business. But the Hex conference qualifies as a verified organization, even though we all don't report to each other, it still counts. And so that's kind of the innovation here, is to have an organization and an affiliation that meets the requirements, but can get everybody boosted together. And so,
Maddie, I have
really
a question.
great. Sure.
I have a question, Maddie. I heard a rumor that having that Hex badge gives you a 2.1 boost on your T-shares. Is that true?
That has not been confirmed yet, but I hope so. I hope so. Normally longer pays better in that case. So that's a separate badge.
I'm going to keep doing my research. Thank you for clearing that up.
Please do.
Kind of.
Yes. So, yeah, so there's more information about this at hexbadge.com, which is linked to my blog. And it just tells you basically who qualifies and why and what the whole point is and all that good kind of stuff. So that's available for people. And yeah, I also I asked Godwill to like fund it, and I don't think he wants to. But if he does, that'd be great.
Well, I appreciate
but I
all
think
the work and effort you've put into that. That is really cool. That is really cool.
And it's okay if she doesn't want to fund it.
Totally. Yeah. And that was that. I hoped that I was like, being respectful and everything. It seems like this post got tons of traction because I was suggesting that if the God Whale wanted to match like the 16K that has already been put into X for freedom to Hex badge, quote unquote, or even, if anybody out there wants to fund other people's badges who are on there, pushing out content. I mean, if we got 100 people verified, how cool would it be to be the first community in crypto that just has like this mass adoption of a way that you're not going to get impersonated? I mean, KDP, she had 19 accounts that were impersonating her, but now there's only one that has a hex badge next to it. So that's, I think, a really big deal.
That is a pretty big deal.
So, and the, the Godwell, like, has been quoted recently as saying F scammers, right? Under Richard's post. And, the whole reason they came onto Twitter was because of an imposter situation where somebody created a meme account, and after they had donated, the real Godwell had donated to the Highest of Stakes movie. But somebody else was taking credit for the donation, and they were the Godwell was worried that this person would end up scamming the community, and so they created an account and they verified on chain with Funding Gym, that they're the real person. And so this is a big deal. I mean, having this Godwell in our community is a big deal, and it seems like not being a scammer is really important to them. So that's where I got the idea to see if they wanted to donate. And it's an open offer. Basically, I'm, running this program where I would be able to take, the real Godwell's list of who they're following, the 56 people they're following, and cross-reference that with like the people who were speaking at the Hex conference who are affiliated. And that would, that would show us, who would like be paid for basically in that situation. But yeah, so I hope that, like any whales out there that are listening, that they consider donating. But I've also had people who have been donating for other people, and the system's been working really well. A lot of people wanted to pay the $600 for themselves per year to get that 2x boost. I mean, it's the difference between $50 a month versus $18 a month that you're already spending on X verified as an individual not affiliated with a verified organization. But so having this badge gives you a lot of benefits. And so a lot of people have been paying for it themselves. And that might be the way that it ends up, going forward. A lot of people have said that they kind of like, they think people are going to FOMO into this later on.
Yeah, so if a lesser deity whale wants to come and help fund it, the Hex community would be very appreciative. And you can see that we get a boost in our posts. So when we post about Hex and Pulse Chain, that's going to be spread out even further. And we also get fraud protection. And
yes.
And so I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
27 ETH.
That would get 100 badges for a year. That would be super incredible. I mean, I'm excited. I haven't, I haven't taken this to Richard yet, but I think at some point, we might want to offer it to him, because again, twice as many impressions organically on your posts. It's kind of a hack to the, and this is the, Twitter is important because it's the largest social network for finance that exists. It's where people go to find out what's happening in crypto, to find out what's happening in finance. So, Toby, can we hear you?
Toby, can you hear me? And he's there.
My microphone is falling. So yeah. We got a question here about like adding ink. So like there's a reason that PulseX can't be added, which is like basically it's because it's a DEX and there are special rules about that, which is why I chose like Hex conference and Pulse Chain conference. There is no ink or PulseX conference. So if there's any situation basically where we're not playing by the rules say that Twitter can just take all of our money that we paid, basically. Like it's $1,000 a month to have a verified organization. And basically, if you don't play by the rules, they can just keep the money.
Mm.
So it
Did you
really
mention?
it really incentivizes, yeah, playing by the rules.
I don't know if you want to disclose this, but did you mention the where the initial came from to get the org started? Was that from?
I'm just putting it up, yeah, as the person who ran the Hex conference and Pulse Chain conference.
Got it. That's quite a commitment. That's a big commitment.
Yeah. I
We
think
need
it's
a
worth
game
it,
theory
especially
game
with
conference.
this. Oh man, but then that's another $12,000 a year. So
It's true.
having these logos, it's an expensive thing, but I think it's worth it. And we have feedback on Toby's mic, so. Yeah, but if you think about how much people spend to advertise and then it's not even organic and they don't really get the full reach and benefit, and we've already got a huge community of content creators who are crushing it. And so why wouldn't we want, this is going to help, I think, all of us,
Yeah.
whether you're participating in it or not.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. I didn't even
I
know
think
that
definitely keep
you could
going with
even
the
get
story. Yeah.
badges for organizations on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Twitter related comment to make. I thought about this as a
Please.
brainstorm. I don't know if it's a good idea to go after it or not. But you know how Musk is setting up X payments, and they're doing evaluations of everything. I know there's a lot of FUD and all this other crap all over the place, but man, wouldn't it be awesome if somehow we were able to get through to him? And maybe he's seen Richard's tweets, I don't know, but be able to get through to him and pitch the idea of how Hex works, because I think he truly would appreciate it. Because first engineering principles, I'll get the terminology wrong, right? Is to eliminate things that you don't need. And
Mhm.
in terms of Hex, I mean, it is pretty compact. Anyways, I was just thinking about the briefs that people are doing for the lawsuit and all this other stuff, and that perhaps there's something similar, a petition or something might want to push towards ALLin. I mean, why wouldn't he be interested?
Not a bad plan. Never know, right? Doesn't hurt
He's
to
going to
try.
I
integrate
totally agree with
cryptos
you.
into his
Yeah.
payment system, and we can find a way to get him to have Hex and Pulse Chain be in there, I bet.
Or if he wants to have his own token, even, like, it just makes sense to do it on Pulse Chain just because of the transaction fees. I mean, you can't do it on ETH. You can't have an effective payment system on ETH. It's too expensive.
Yeah, and so I think the more we keep building, the more we're going to get noticed. And for example, we had something launched this week on Pulse Chain called Pulse. What is it? Pulse Domains.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the Pulse name service, the PNS. So I think we should definitely talk about that here too. I have to fix my mic though.
It's cool. Yeah.
I met the guy that I guess he's created it. Maybe he's just running it. Maybe he's a dev or something. But I met him at the Irvine Pulse Chain tour, and he was a really cool guy. And yeah, so we got those .pls, naming services. So that's pretty cool.
A little word to the wise on people is that if you want to remain pseudo anonymous, especially if you have like a Tobiwan.pls or whatever, probably not best to use your other wallets to like interact with that particular address, because then it'd be pretty easy for people to backtrack and like maybe know things about your activity that you don't want public. So, kind of keep it in a bit of a walled garden would not be a bad idea.
Spin up a fresh address.
Freshies only on that for sure.
Send money directly from your Coinbase account.
Bingo.
Use the bridge. Boom. Anonymous.
Easy peasy.
I think. I think when you get
Right.
sent
Yes.
from Coinbase, it's a random address, right? It's not like a.
That's correct. That's exactly what you need to do. So you need to have this in a different address than the rest of your crypto to do the Pulse name service. And that's really important because otherwise everything, all of your wallets that have interacted before, then they can be traced online. And so you're doxing your entire crypto position sometimes accidentally. So send from Coinbase to Ethereum, and then bridge over, whatever it is, $10, $100, depending on the ETH fees. And then you're automatically going to get 1,000 Pulse sent to you from Bridge Buddy, KDP, and the Pulse coin list people, I think is what it is, who are also working with the Pulse name service people. But basically, this is it's like a domain name service for Pulse, just like you have on ETH. So I have the address matty.eth, MATI.eth, which points to my donation address, which is a long string of letters and numbers that is impossible for me to like just tell somebody. But this allows you to like name what an address is, so that and that function isn't fully integrated yet on Pulse because it just launched, but it's looking really good. I've played with it. I've used the Pulse name service thing, and it's awesome. You can go out there and get your domain names, and I would strongly recommend that you do get exactly what your handle is. This is something that Richard taught all of us streamers early on, was like all the ways that you can create a brand and protect it. And one of the ways is, to have a unique name that you can say to somebody and it make, they can understand it, without having homophones and stuff like that. But
Matty,
having a strong handle. Yeah.
Hey, can you have special characters in those, or is it just have to be alphanumeric?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
you can.
cool.
That's really fun, and lots of people are doing that. What I would strongly recommend everybody do is to get their actual handle that's on Twitter, to buy that
Right.
on Pulse Name Service.
I heard you can
Right.
even
And
put
right now
emojis in there.
Really?
That's right. And
Oh wow, right on.
right now it's $5 of Pulse to get a name that's 5 letters or longer. .pls. But
555 for a 3-letter domain.
yes,
Bargain.
and it's 169 for a 4-letter. But you have to go out there and get it now, because people, once they take your name, there's no getting it back. So
And they got it for a whole year. Actually, 13
what's the
months.
website called?
So just Pulse
Pulse
domains
dot
dot is it Pulse date? I'm like, what is it?
It's app.pulse.domains.
App.pulse.domains.
With an
Dot
S at the
domains.
end.
Yes. And then it looks like there is it Pulse domains under like Pulse domains no spaces underscore. Is that their Twitter handle? Is that the right one? I don't know if that's the right one. Don't want to send someone to the wrong spot.
It's Pulse Domains _ on Twitter.
Okay, cool. That's the right one. And the guys were really responsive. So it's like, I mean, if you got questions, I think they have a Telegram. And if they don't, they were really responsive on DMs. Because like when they first were offering it up, it's like I reached out to them via DM to kind of lock some names in for myself. So yeah, it's cool.
I really like the founder, and I think that this project is really cool. It's going to open up a lot of other stuff that we can talk about in the future. But yeah, it's a really cool project, and they even. I think we're going to have the founder on sometime to talk. There's an echo somewhere, I think. Is that you, Toby?
I don't know. I hope not. It's like how many different ways can I be wrecked tonight?
I know, right?
I'll just mute when I'm not talking. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah. So they reserved, I think it was like the top 2,000 crypto influencers, like outside of Hex and Pulse Chain. They reserved those names for a year so that we can, as a community, we can go out and try to get them, get Ivan on Tech to claim his, and he can claim it for free. And he can also get 5,555 Pulse at the same time they send it to him, so that he doesn't have to dox any of his other addresses. So they've thought through this deeply. There are lots of Easter eggs and cool things built in. So it'll be cool once we have the founder on and everything. We'll be able to get his pitch and hear from him.
Hey, before when my mic was wrecked, it's like we were talking about Godwale kind of supporting the Hex Badge organization. Anyone opposed to BitBoy, who apparently is very interested in like actually talking about the Pulse ecosystem now? Would anyone be opposed to him participating and maybe supporting some people getting their Hex Badge? Because it might not be a bad idea to reach out to BitBoy. Like if he really wants to show a sign of good faith, maybe he would donate to help some people get their badges.
He had to have spoken at the conference.
Well, no, not for himself, but he could donate for other people that have spoken that
Oh,
maybe
I
don't have the
see.
$600. Right? He could donate to make sure they get their badges, or he
I
could donate
will
toward the
take
expense
one
of the
if
Crypto
organization.
Coffee, what's up?
BitBoy wants to give
Crypto
me
Coffee's
one.
in the chat.
There you go. Crypto Coffee's in the chat. Look out.
Coffee
Yeah.
in the chat.
He's got a badge.
Coffee's
too.
great, man. Coffee's like the
yeah.
OG of OGs. Love that kid.
Oh, he is for sure. Anybody can
Funny,
donate.
funny.
For badges.
Dude.
So yeah.
Cool. I'm not proud. I'll ask anybody. It's like, come on, BitBoy, where you at, bro? Come on.
Let's go.
You want to redeem yourself? Come on over. Like help the Hex org, hexbadge.com, do its thing. So, but yeah, I'm stoked about it. I was excited to get my badge. So,
Yeah.
So what else did we miss this week? Like other big news? I've been a little preoccupied, obviously. Anyone? Bueller?
I was gonna
P
say,
died to $100. How about that one?
You know what? I'm going to reiterate what I said
yeah, we
last
gotta
week.
talk about that.
Yeah,
we have
it's
to
like,
talk about it.
I do have to reiterate that it does seem like a UTI that you die from, like P die, right? So it's like bad dad joke, sorry. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole narrative. There's a thread that Sami went through about like the logic behind it, and it seems kind of. I mean, I'm not saying go ape into anything, but it's like it was pretty. That's it, and it was pretty compelling. Like he did a whole video about that thread and went through like post by post, and it was like, oh. Because it's like before I just thought it was all smoke and mirrors and like conspiracy theory kind of weirdness. And this guy like breaks it down. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's kind of wild. Like with the maker, the P maker and like, being able to like have it the control of the DAO and like change rules about things. So it could actually in a roundabout way get to a point where it could be pegged. It's like, wait, what? It's like, no way. I thought these people were insane. But maybe there's something to it. It's not as simple as like, Richard's going to peg it. It's like once they break down like how that would happen, it seems more plausible or possible, let's say.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I
So
don't
that's
quite understand
an argument
all.
for it.
Hmm?
We still got an echo.
Not me, is it? Is it me? Damn it. I can't be.
It's Toby. Yeah.
It's
always Toby.
definitely Toby.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand how it all works, but it's
So it's not even
interesting.
called P die, right? Like it's not like that's not the ticker, right? So
The
that's
maker?
funny to me. It's the copy die that's worthless, that's not backed by anything, right? Like that's what people are talking about. And
Yep.
Richard had speculated on this prior, so we have like audio clips of him saying, I wonder what it'll be worth, right? When he's presenting this idea that like maybe everything on Pulse Chain could be worth more than its original or worth less, and how much less, nobody knows. Like this is a new experiment that's never been run before. Like, and I know for me, it got me really thinking deeply about what it means to have a free copy, a system state fork, of Ethereum that is what Pulse Chain is, and that whole use case. There's the low fees use case, and then there's the system state copy that has that was never done before. So I think that's kind of where it all started, and then what I thought was that a group of insiders had bought it all up, and they were inventing a bunch of narratives to be able to dump on people, and that seemed likely. But then the truth is that anything can be a meme. Like things with VC insiders that dump on you all day can go up 100x in crypto. It's it's almost well, it is. It's unbelievable. Crypto is unbelievable. So yeah. So who knows what this could do? I mean, it's got crypto. It's got a meme culture around it. So
instead of VCs, in crypto, it's basically everybody can dump on you. It's not just the VCs.
Yeah. And I did hear on somebody's stream that Richard was hiding the comments of PDI people under his own threads. And that's something that you could go out there and you could check for yourself to see if that's a rumor or if that's true. But then you're still going to get to the same place. You're still going to get to the same place of well, if you believe the conspiracy and all this information of how there could be some master plan that Richard alluded to, but we don't know if this is it. It's, you could still get to the same place where you're well, maybe he's hiding it because he doesn't want the plan to be revealed yet. But in all reality, it doesn't seem like Richard plays those games. You could take him at his word for stuff. And so if he's kind of signaling by hiding the replies, that could be your indication right there that it's not part of his master plan, and it really is a joke, and jokes can be valuable or they can be worthless, and you can get wrecked on them or you can do well.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if I'd have to go back through that thread to see if they tie it to an OA address or where the sacrifice funds went. And if they haven't, then I mean, the same methodology that they describe could be done by a bigger player, right? It's they could have gone and got all that P maker and, taken control of DAO and do all the things that he's alleging, and if those addresses are tied together, that's all well and good. But if they're not tied back to SAC, then it's not Richard, right? And that could still not be necessarily a bad thing for the ecosystem. Like if we have our own version of DAI that somehow ends up pegged, as long as the people that are in control of it are not malicious. If it's Richard, of course, we'd have more confidence because it's he's proven himself time and again to be a benevolent overlord, right?
Yeah, I think it should also be stated that I don't know, people who are pushing false narratives that is fraud. If you're inventing something that isn't true and you're so that's there's a difference between speculation and people who are actually buying these tokens, and then if they're saying something that's not true, they're trying to.
And the people who are saying stuff that aren't true, but they don't know that it's not true. They just regurgitating, right?
Well, yeah. And of course, Briz, some people talk about it like it's fact,
Yeah.
Instead of them saying, hey, I think this is what's going on, they speak about it as fact. My take on it is
somewhere else, and so now it's they put it down as a statement,
So I certainly didn't begin the narrative, but in the very beginning, right, we first launched, I think we even talked about it here. I picked up PDI, right? Now I'm not a huge holder of PDI. I just, if it ever goes to $1 million, goes to $1, I'd like to have 1 million of them, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? I had no idea how the stuff would play out, and some of them haven't played out very well. The wrapped ETH didn't play out well. The wrapped Bitcoin didn't play out well. Some other things, but there's still hope in the game over the long haul. But you have people who speculated. We got speculators, right? And then you have narrative, very strong narrative. Like if we chose to, we can get into a screaming match with people in the chat, and by picking either side, because they're certainly doing it on X.
Oh yeah.
So we've got polarized narrative, which is great for bringing eyeballs. I don't like it, but I mean, hey, that's what people like, and they get attracted to. And guess what? Guess what? The whole time that people have been arguing back and forth, what'd the thing do? I forget the number because I looked at it earlier. Say 157,000% from the low. So I'll tell you, if I had picked up a little bit more, I'd be feeling like I was pretty smart, and that this thing was pretty solid, you know. And if I was the one who said no, you guys are all full of crap the whole time, people tend to, tend to not want to be wrong, so they keep fighting the fight. And meanwhile, more and more people keep buying it. So.
Yeah, like something I'd like to interject on that, because it's like I always try to look at myself as kind of like the ethical degenerate, right? So it's like I just feel compelled to tell people, like, if you're gonna play around with this kind of stuff and you find yourself having doubled your bag of, like, I mean, the value is doubled, probably not a bad idea to go ahead and sell half of that bag so you could retain your principal. And then you got a moon bag for free, right? So, I mean, that's like the safest play, because I've seen so many people play the meme coin game and all these, you name it games. And then they get greedy and they see it going up and up and up. And then they're like married to the bag. And then all of a sudden it dumps, and they were in profit. Like, they were in a position where they could have taken profit and like held onto a free bag. And instead they write it down to where they're underwater. So just be cautious, like with any of this stuff, because it's like, we don't know, right? It's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that like, this is a legit story and Richard's definitely behind it. I don't know any of that. I know as much as anybody else that's reading this stuff on Twitter or watching Sami talk about it. So just be cautious. It's like, I have multiple moon bags that I got for free because I got in and out of stuff, right? And got my principal back in my wallet. Maybe I made a little profit, and then I'm putting that in things I have more faith in, like the RH coins. But, to each their own. It's, freedom of speech, right? And blockchain is speech. So, people do what you will with your own money. I just don't want to see people like, being a little too, because I've seen people, it's almost like a casino mindset. You see people at the slot machine, and man, they hit it. They won like $200, right? And then all of a sudden you just watch them feed all $200 back into that machine, hoping that they're going to turn it into 500. And it's like, maybe you came to the casino with $50, put 50 back in your pocket and go home with your 50, right? And then play with the house money and then go nuts. But like, I gambled for a living for a while, and I'm telling you, that drive home when you were up and didn't leave is a terribly, terribly, painfully sad thing. So leaving even is better than down.
True.
Or don't gamble in the first place.
Yeah, right. It's like, or just do the things that are more tried and true. And it's like, and plus, like, the X's that are possible in the RH coins alone are kind of meme coinish. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of bonkers, like what we could do in this bull cycle. And, and Hex has been around for 4 years, solid as a rock. And now there's 2 versions of them. One's on a cheaper chain that the same dude created. And then, and you've got Ink, which has, I think, some kind of hidden fundamentals in there that are going to kind of become more aware. We're going to become more aware of them as time goes on.
No, it doesn't.
Careful now. You'll trigger Briz. But the Ink Lord.
No. You are doing exactly what we just spoke about, where you're stating with fact. But
it's not hidden. Ink isn't hidden.
Absolutely.
Ink is an RH coin.
No. I'm saying there might be some hidden pumpamentals. Some unknown pumpamentals.
Just because.
Yeah, maybe.
Just because you don't know the inflation doesn't mean like it's not on the blockchain like knowable. So we know
we will find out.
We know
eventually.
That. Can someone do the math?
The same. PDI is not the same as Ink.
No, by a mile.
First of all,
no, they're
Ink has a better ticker. No. It has a better ticker because
apparently nobody knows if it actually has an inflation happening or not. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it depends what perspective.
No, it's not. It depends on perspective.
Yeah, we know.
It either happens or it doesn't happen. It's not.
We got.
Do you want me to explain it to you again? I can explain it to you again.
Yes, please.
So
I need you to explain it to
So-
me, Maddie, please. You do it
Talk to me like
when
I'm a
something
3-year-old. Break it
starts
down.
at 0, so in the beginning there were 0 ink, okay?
In the beginning.
And then the inflation was infinity because it went to 1 and then 10 and then 100, right? And now we are at the point where it's based on time. The max issuance is limited by time, right? There are only so many ink that can be created per block and per hour and all that, basically. And so the situation is, after ink has existed for 9 months, and then it exists another 9 months, then it will have twice the supply that it had in the first 9 months. Okay, so the inflation
So you're
is
saying-
decreasing over time compared to the full supply, because the full supply started at 0, and so that's kind of how you can think about it. So if you think about it like it's disinflationary, like Bitcoin, because it's existed longer, but it doesn't have a cap on it that's not based on time.
So you're saying the issuance does not get cut in half.
It depends
It
what your
doesn't, it
perspective
doesn't.
is, right? Because like if it's existed for 6 months and it exists for another 6 months, then now you've doubled the supply, right? But if you go another 6 months, you don't double the supply again. Like it's increasing linearly over time. Okay.
You're skipping the answer to the question.
Let me.
It's relative. It's relative because the inflation is
Oh, well, I
relative to the
heard
total
you get
supply.
1 ink per second. Then I hear it on year 2, it's 1 ink per 2 seconds.
That
Can
was
I-
proposed, but it didn't
Right.
make it
That's
into the
that's
code.
what I heard.
But we'll see.
Yeah,
But
Bruce.
I'm
The cap.
saying,
The
you know,
cap
do
is
we
1.
know?
The cap is 1 per second, and that apparently is written in the code. But it could be reduced if somebody wanted to reduce it.
It could be
And
reduced by the master chef
so-
contract.
but as Maddie has explained, the general idea is that it goes down.
But it could also the OA could start earning ink as well, which would be another thing. There'd be like a compound like force multiplier to decrease the supply if like the master chef was decreasing it and if the OA was farming liquidity. So that's like your bullish scenario for ink, the most bullish
you-
you can imagine probably.
Are you telling me that after 100 years, on year 101, only 1% of the supply gets minted?
Hey, we will escrow a bet, and in 101 years, we will
Yes.
see.
Yes.
So, and then can I
Math.
just say, like,
Well,
every time I hear,
or it could get
every time I
changed back
hear,
and forth.
well, sure. And then every time I hear Master Chef, is it just me that imagines like the little Chef Boyardee guy? Is it just me? It's just me. Apparently, it's just me.
No, I
Just
think
me.
it's Chef from South
Just
Park.
you.
The chef from South Park. That's a good one too.
Every time you say that, that's what comes to my head.
The Master Chef.
Him and Mr. Hanky.
That's yeah. Heidi ho. Well, there's plenty of those coins out
I think
there,
I've-
but well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What wasn't there like a chef that like forked something back in the early days of DeFi summer when Hex was being launched, and that was the only thing I was paying attention to. But
Mhm. Yeah, it was.
Isn't
it
that
was,
where it comes from?
Master Chef of Sushi, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
Sushi
what-
Swap. I remember
Was
he
that
like
the-
rug pulled all the liquidity, and everyone got really
and then put
mad
it
at him.
back.
And then he put it back in. He's like, I'm sorry.
Oops. Ratatouille. That's funny.
But
Did you guys see
that
the
was,
movie?
that was one of the first instances of a vampire attack in crypto
Yes.
history that was of that type, where they just copied the code and gave people a better deal instead of just like forking a community based on like different principles. Like, so that's important to like recognize.
Mhm.
I just saw a reference to Ratatouille. And did you guys see the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? And there was the scene with I think it was Raccoon Tui, and it was a raccoon like on top of the chef's head, like pulling his hair and like making him do all the things, kind of like Ratatouille. So another weird reference, but I bet Ashtree gets it. Hi, Ashtree.
Maddie, I think you're gonna be blamed for killing P-Dye.
I don't think so.
Maddie
Didn't I
is the
say nice
cranberry
things
juice.
about it too? Wait,
Maybe.
I
Not
mean,
just
I can
joking.
say nice things about it too. I'm just
Sure.
With totally no evidence or proof, I lean towards I'd like to see it peg at $100. There you go. That's what I'd like to see.
yeah. I mean, I thought I was being clear that like meme coins can blow your mind just as much as anything else. So
Yeah.
I mean,
He's just busting.
if
He's busting
they're-
balls, Matty.
yeah.
It's all good. He's
I
just
mean-
busting balls.
but I do like to consider both sides of an argument, and so
Absolutely. It's game
yeah.
theory. It's game theory, gang. That's what we
Yeah.
do here, right?
it is. That's the
Yeah.
point. That's the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like
pegging
you're like
it-
wrangling
pegging it a
cats tonight,
dollar-
Matty. Sorry.
Hey, listen,
Yeah,
I know,
I mean,
I know some people out there that really have played this game. I didn't play the game, I just got my little bag, and you know who you are out there, but I mean, they've accumulated millions and hundreds of millions of tokens, and across the board, so it's working for somebody.
Crispy,
And I
you just
don't-
tipped, bro. You tipped your hand earlier. You said you had 1 million tokens. You said you had 1 million.
I know, but I mean, that was me.
What?
That was me in the early days going, hey, this thing's really cheap and maybe something will happen. And
There you go. You're doing all right then. You're doing all
Right?
right. It's
Yeah,
more than I
but
have.
So-
I'm no billion P die guy, right? I mean, there are
Right.
people out there with some numbers, man.
Yeah.
I think that the part for me that I would be more excited about is PDI as a meme coin instead of PDI as like an expectation of Richard, because one thing is awesome and we know how it works, and it doesn't involve like any guessing or any conspiracy
Yeah.
theories and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I don't like that part of this. I get it. I get why people fall to it, they because lots of times what you're hearing the argument being is Richard's behind it. And I say to you, it doesn't matter who the hell's behind it. Whoever it is pretty smart, doing something. They're building a narrative. The market's reacting. You don't want to participate, don't participate. If you do, you participate. Apparently, a lot of people have participated because something doesn't go up 150,000%, without people participating. And so, yeah, carry on,
Well,
DeFi, right?
that
Keep going.
I mean, something can't go up that much. Like Matty token went up that much. Even though it's not a
Well,
real thing,
but
right? Like
people
it's
participated in that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I personally participated in that.
I could make a coin and self trade it to $1 trillion market cap. I could make it go up. So I think
Sure, but dude,
something going up doesn't mean that people participated.
Yeah, listen. So I'm not trying to make the case for PDI exactly. I'm just saying, go look at the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and maybe millions at this
Yes.
point, that are real.
Yeah.
That's real value. That's in there. That isn't Matty token, right? That isn't Hexfire token.
It's yeah.
That is PDI. So it makes a difference, man. It makes a difference. It's between that
It
and
does.
Tropos. I mean, there's a ton of liquidity now. I don't know. Like I said, I can't profess to understand exactly what's happening, but
I
think
think the most interesting thing is the things that we know when it comes to that is like people are imagining it being $1. People are buying it, and it's super volatile, and it's a meme coin, and it's a new category of meme coin. It's like, that's the story here. It's not that like we have expectations of Richard. It's that like there's never been anything like this.
that's right. It's the people's the people's stable coin, and I like nothing better than
Communist.
No, that's a different token, man.
Communist. Oh, I threw a T on the end.
The,
A T on the end.
Don't forget to claim your secret
You're
weapon.
spelling it wrong.
Yeah. Sorry.
Can I
Better dead than
steer
red.
the direction of this conversation?
Absolutely not.
What do you got?
Jazz
All
hands.
right. So we're talking about PDI here, and
If
it's
you're
kind
you're
of-
sharing a clip, there has to be no background music in it.
there's
Uh-oh.
not. There's not.
Okay.
These are just straight up.
How come he can
clips.
share clips? I can't share clips.
So
It's in case I like die.
so
No, seriously.
But I like
Right.
Die too.
Oh,
if
No,
so
no,
we're talking
that
about
wasn't meant to be a joke.
Like literally, right? Like so,
Like
someone
literally,
could carry on.
Brisology can share clips. Yeah, in
Like
case
his
something
internet's
happens.
really spotty
Yeah.
right now, so if he wasn't able to make it to the show, I could help
He could run it. He
Yeah.
could run
get
it.
this thing going. Anyways,
Somehow,
we're
Briz is more
talking about
reliable than me and
we're
Crispy.
talking about PDI as a meme coin, as a chance, a gamble to get your like 300x or whatever, right? Well, I kind of wanted like just to bring it back and like I have a couple clips here of Richard Hart. This one I believe is 52 seconds long, and I just want everyone to remember that you don't need to gamble on some of these like really speculative plays, because you might end up shooting yourself in the foot when you miss out on the big one. So let me play this.
Has there been any big names in crypto that have reached out to you to
Can you
kind
guys
of
hear it
figure
at
out
all?
what's going on, or
Yes.
kind of get a heads up on that?
I'm happy for them
Very
to all buy the
curious.
top. Buy the top fuckers. VCs, you want in? You can buy with everybody else. You ain't getting nothing special. Influencers, you want in? Fuck you guys. You can miss this boat too. You can buy later. I'm happy if all those fucks miss the boat. If every influencer misses a boat and every VC misses the boat, fuck you guys. We don't need you. We do not need you. Hex didn't need you, and Pulse doesn't need you, because we can do all this stuff on our own. Let me put it this way. Think about how much money I have, and think about what I could do with that if I choose to. I have a lot of options available to me. So, like, I don't need any of these motherfuckers. I do not.
So there he is. He's just saying,
Go, Richard.
hey, I got a lot of money, right? Now,
Yes.
let me
I
share
can confirm
one.
that's what he said.
Let me share. Thank you. Let me share one more right here, and this one is, I think 60 seconds long too. All
Is this
right.
Lumberjack Richard?
192 people watching. Hit the like and subscribe button.
Smash the like.
People like to spread rumors. Like, I've got 1 million Ethereum. That's a rumor I've heard. Well, let's say that was true. If I had 1 million Ethereum, would I need to sell anything other than Ethereum ever? Seems like a lot of Ethereum. What is Ethereum? $2,000 now? Well, 2,000 times 1 million is 2
Dang.
billion. Let me check the
2
math on that.
billion,
But
baby.
let's do it anyway.
Oh man.
I love
I
the
don't
look
think
on
I
his
saw
face.
this.
Yep, 2
That's
billion.
a good clip, man.
He's got $2 billion. All I want to say is Richard doesn't need any of us to make these coins go way up, because the OA has a lot of funding behind it. All I'm saying is there's going to be a magic carpet ride, I believe. And, if you guys are busy jumping on meme coins and, random stuff, I just don't want to see you get left behind. I want to see people get into what I believe is the most for sure thing that can be considered a for sure thing that is definitely not a for sure thing.
Right.
Nothing
what
is
is
a for
that?
sure thing, but that's, the
What
Richard
things
Hart
do you like?
ecosystem. I like Hex, I like Pulse Chain, PulseX, I like Ink, and a PDI Maxi. But no,
Well,
but
the
for real,
last one does not fall into the previous category.
correct.
Yes.
But
Hashtag sarcasm.
it's, you just gotta kind of read between the lines with Richard. He says,
Yeah.
no expectations, and you shouldn't have any expectations.
So and when I read between the lines, I'm concluding that if he's hiding PDI posts under his posts, that means that he's not supporting that. Like he's not promoting it. He's not letting you read in between the lines that's something he's behind.
He didn't create it. He didn't create it. It's like, that's been the mantra forever. It's like, he does not talk about coins he didn't create. That's just kind of that, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's fun to speculate. It's like, I like conspiracy theory stuff sometimes to a degree, but I think what people have done, me included, all right, I'm not above guilt here, is that, you're getting yield, you're making maybe some pulse, from your validators, or you're getting some ink yield or whatever, and you're a little bored. It's a bear market, and it's like a lot of time's going by, and you see some of these meme plays, and it's kind of fun and whatever, and you're gonna throw some money at it. But depending on when you did that, and I guarantee you most people don't keep good records, what would the outcome have been at the top of the bull had you just held your PHex, your EHex, your ink, and your pulse and your PulseX? Had you just held those, like Richard said in that clip that you showed, Briz, like, turn your computer off and come back in 2 years. Like, if that had been your if that's what your MO was, how would that play out versus chasing lottery tickets? And maybe you hit one, but how many, it's like, how does it balance out? Like, maybe you miss 20 of them and you get one that's a big winner. And it's like, people that go to the casino, they're going to tell you the story about the time they hit the jackpot, but they're not going to tell you about all the times they went and fed the machine and went home broke. So you're going to hear a lot of success stories, and you're not going to hear a lot of people telling their story about how they got wrecked chasing the shiny objects.
You obviously have not been on Wall Street Bets. They actually post like their losses as badges.
Oh, do they? Good. That's how it ought to be. That's what was always, like, people found refreshing about me talking about my gambling stuff, because it's like, I would tell you the times that I got wrecked. Because you need to tell the full story. It's bullshit. It's disingenuous. And to me, it's just blowhard nonsense. Like, looking like, every time I gambled, I won. Every coin I've ever bought, I've made money on it. Bullshit. It's like people trying to say that they're selling every top and buying every bottom. Bullshit. Doesn't happen that way. So, and that's why, for me personally, and what I advocate, if people want to play around, if you want to have a little fun degen bag, do like 2%, 5% of your overall bag. If you're out there doing it with like 50% of your bag, 80% of your bag, like if it's only 20% of your bag that's staked in hex, you're a dummy. I'm sorry, you're just dumb. And it's like, you obviously have not paid attention at all to what all of us have been trying to teach you forever. And you know what? Cabal these nuts, right? It's like, if you think that all I'm trying to do is get you to do a 15-year staking ladder so I can dump on your head, eat it. I'm sorry, you're dumb. Do the math. Look at Crispy stuff. Crispy freaking quantifies shit on top of quantifying shit. Like, if you can't do the math and figure it out, you deserve to be wrecked. So play at your own risk. I'm having fun with some meme coins. I got some HOA. I got some teddy bear. I got a little bit of all that stuff. But I was also smart enough to take profit on those things. So all my bags are bought and paid for, free and clear. There's like 2, I think, that I didn't end up making money on.
Playing with house money.
House money, baby, and it's fun. And then the profit I got, what did I do? I turned around, and that was dry powder for me to go back and buy more of the stuff that I have more confidence in long term, which are the big 5, the Richard Hart 5, right?
Yeah, couldn't have said it better.
I have my moments.
I mean, yeah. I think whatever PDI can do, if people are saying it's just going to go, like, if Richard Hart was behind it, which I don't think, but if he was, then it would stop at $1. Why would you want that? Wouldn't you want, like, for it to be the new meme category of this bull cycle? Like, wouldn't you want it to go over $1? Why are you thinking so small that you have an expectation from Richard, who, like, seems to be pretty clear about it by hiding the responses? So I think it's more bullish if Richard is not behind it, because
then it's a meme and it can go to freaking $100.
New category
right?
of meme coin.
Yeah,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Totally.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Do I have to do all your marketing for you? Like, what?
It would be
it's
sick
simple.
If we had the first $100 peg coin.
That'd be hilarious. It's like, or if it just never pegs to anything, it just moons like freaking Dogecoin.
That's
and goes
the joke.
Shit. That's the joke. That's a meme coin. That's the fun. Right?
That's why it's a better meme. Yeah.
Memes are funny.
Because it's like, what are we going to peg to next? $10? Right? We're going to peg to $10 next.
It's going to peg each other at the end.
No.
But we have native stable coins already with Coast, which is awesome, which is, I heard, is basically a copy of True USD, if I'm correct.
I think that sounds right.
But that one's really amazing. You know, it's like it goes from your bank account straight onto the Pulse chain. Like that's awesome. And then you
And
can go
USDL.
from your Pulse chain into your bank account.
Yep.
And then we have USDL, and pretty soon we're gonna have the PLSX stable coin from Power City.
Ooh.
Algo is going to be the algorithmic stable coin from Jacob, the developer of PulsePot, I believe. And dude, we're gonna have stable coins falling out our ears, falling out of my neck hole. Stable coins.
Yeah. Call
Give
me
us a
old
grab
fashioned.
ahead and
I
shake
use
the stable coins. I don't know.
yeah.
Stop.
Call me old fashioned. You know, I still use USDC from Ethereum.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you. I use a lot of that. A lot.
that's the
A
one I can
lot.
redeem in Coinbase.
Right? For free. Like you're not paying a
So,
big fee.
Yeah, for free.
Right?
And you can get 5% on it there. I wouldn't like, yeah. But what's 5% in crypto?
But it's early, you know, I mean, it sounds so dumb on a certain level, but it is early. You know what I mean? For Pulse Chain ecosystem, it's early, bros. It's like this has been out since May 13th.
We don't
May
even have
13th.
1 million participants.
Yeah, and the bull
Not
market's not even
even.
here yet. No, and it's like, and like I said this the other night, it's like I hopped on Twitter Spaces. It's like it was a shit show, but most of the time that is. And I hopped on for a laugh, and it's like, you know, I mean, I told them, I said, all the thing, you guys are all breaking your backs, patting yourself, like about what great work you've done to, like, you know, educate and onboard and whatever. I'm sorry, but even us, which I think we have done far and away, you know, and Maddie especially has done so much to get people educated and into the ecosystem and like properly educated, like, you know, to do it the right way and like be safe in it, right? And learn and like really be an educated user of DeFi. You know, it's like that situation is such that, you know, it's the upside is, I can't even find the words. The upside is insane. Like the upside from here is insane.
What do you, all right, you can only choose one. What do you like the best out of any crypto? Right now you have to choose one.
I'm a Hex guy, dude. It's like, I just think long-term Hex is going to be the sleeper. I've been saying this forever. I think EHex in particular is a sleeper.
EHex.
Big sleeper.
All
Big
right.
sleeper. I think there's going to be plenty of stuff. I mean, as over time, I think, you know, PHex is going to do great. I think all the Pulse Chain ecosystem stuff is going to do great. But I think people are sleeping on EHex. And I think that there's going to be bigger players that could give a shit about the gas fees, and they're going to see the yield. And, you know, it's going to be more comfortable for them for whatever reason. But then when they're in, they're going to want to hold up that price, especially if they have a long staking ladder. They're not going to want to abandon their 15-year staking ladder over on ETH because all of a sudden they've learned more about Pulse. They're going to want to hold that price up because they have a vested interest in that doing well. So, and Ethereum with the sharding and everything else, you know, like, you know, Vitalik's roadmap. I mean, Ethereum ain't going away, bros. It's like, I mean, we've been talking about the flippening for 6 years or something. So, you know, when's Ethereum going to flip Bitcoin? And, you know, will Pulse Chain ride right along with all that? Sure. We're a copy of Ethereum. So, I mean, and we are able to plug in all of those changes that he has on his roadmap. So, I mean, but, you know, how many people are going to go that extra step? It's going to be a fraction of the people that are participating on ETH for a while until we take over the world, right? But between now and then, EHex, my long answer.
Toby likes EHex. ChrispyMan, what do you like the most?
What do I like the most?
And why?
It's kind of an unfair choice, and now I can't choose EHex, right?
Sure you can.
No, you can. Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
Different rules.
Otherwise, you're gonna get in
What?
trouble by Toby.
No, you can choose it.
No. We played a
I'm
game before
joking.
where we went
No,
around the
I'm just
room and
joking.
everybody had to choose something different. So
Yeah, this is different. It's like, what's your personal favorite of the RH coins and why?
Well, I don't like making this decision because, it's not 100% in any direction because I am holding all 5, right? I'm
Yes.
working with them. And I like them all for different reasons, but I have to say, my favorite is EHex, but I think that Ink might be the most explosive opportunity.
Really? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Speak to those.
Yeah. So on the EHex side, I'm watching the numbers and I'm focusing. Even though I say I have, a million PDI, well, that's a very small amount in my bag, right? So my bags are Hex and EHex, right? And then of course I went in and did the sacrifice, right? So focusing on EHex, underrated, undervalued, talked down. It's coiled up. I mean, there's a rubber band effect. We are now seeing a pronounced difference in the APY being emitted over there, almost a couple of percentage points on average, high numbers. But it's that should continue. If the people who feel that Hex will outperform EHex continue to act in the manner that they act, we'll end up with much fewer T-shares, which will just cause, for a very long time, the rewards on the EHex side to be higher. So anyways, all of that kind of rolls together into a big opportunity for that to bounce in the upwards direction. And I know there are a lot of people say, "Oh no, forget it. You're crazy. You're crazy, right?" Well, yeah. If I think I'm Pulse, yeah, I kind of lean that way, and I'm like, yeah, forget about EHex. But guys, there's a lot of money out there, and they can earn yield or rewards, and they can use that. And they can play that game. So it's different demographics. So anyways, that's why I think EHex could be very successful and could rebound pretty hard on price. It might even flip, Hex for a short time and come back down. Who knows? Who knows? It really comes down to people, right? We've already seen a couple of big players come in. They could just make all sorts of things happen. Now, on the other hand, I know I gave you 2 answers. I like the Ink. I've been farming Ink from day one, and I know that I've received plenty of hate comments over how stupid I am, and I even have
sorry
moments.
about those comments.
Well, Briz, I forgive you for saying that. But I mean, there are moments where I question what I've done as well, and even like yesterday, Sami did a farm vid. Stream, and made me start questioning whether I'm doing the right thing with what I'm doing. But I think I am, because I think as we spoke about, it has this deflationary type of effect, right? And the amount of it that come out. And as we spoke about many, many months ago, right? Only those people who have ink can natively mine more ink or farm more ink at usually a much higher rate. At least we've seen that over the months, than you can on the other pairs. Well, in any case, I think that all comes together to, again, being a lot of very strong hands owning the top amounts and producing the ink, and that also has an opportunity to rubber band. I mean, you could say, well, that's crazy. It's never go up again. Well, hey guys, it was just $4. Can I tell you? It got to 420. For all of you who really care about that, 420. I think that's the number.
Boom.
So was that Elon? Did Elon pump it to 420?
Yeah, he did.
That's what that.
He said. He said, put a dog hat on that thing, man. Off you go.
All right, great. Yeah. So how high could ink go?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
$80. It's got to break all-time high.
Well, did you see?
Yeah.
I know you've been busy.
Why
Did you
not?
see the post from Richard where he was talking about ink this week
Yep.
and talking about
What are you saying?
how ink could be viewed as a leverage play against Pulse and PulseX. My interpretation of that is
Ooh.
because of how it's connected, that when the ecosystem goes up, it may have the propensity to whip up higher, and when it goes down, come down lower. That again makes me feel really good about that too.
Yeah,
But
leverage goes both ways.
yeah, and I forget about
Good point.
exactly what your plan was, Briz, with all this and Toby. But my plan with farming was simply this. I had these assets that I got in the sacrifice, and I wanted to earn on them, and it made sense to me to put them into the the V1 LP and get the farm. Right? I don't actually have plans to like remove the farm, chase the farm. I know a lot of people do that, and they kind of rejigger them around. That's not what I'm doing. I just want my ink, and I want the ink to be enough to pay my bills. That's all.
Awesome.
All right, you ready for my pick?
Pick it.
Brisology, let's hear it.
My pick is a little well-known coin that's called Wise Coin. It has the thickest liquidity.
No.
It has
What the fuck? What? No.
it has a really charismatic.
Are you saying it's an RH token because it was stolen from RH? Is that what you're saying?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute there. Jazz head.
Sorry.
Wow.
Let's shake some sense into me, all right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, for reals though, I would say my coin of pick would actually be PLSX. I like that coin because
I called it.
Nice.
I called it. I switched the hat when I knew it.
I think PLSX is cool because it has the cool feeding mechanism into it, where each trade buys and burns a little bit, and it's a legit RH coin. It's meant to store value and to go up in price. I'm a little afraid of PLS skyrocketing to like 10 cents or 20 cents because of the gas fees that will, have us cost, like the point of Pulse Chain is to have cheap transactions. And yeah, if Pulse gets to 20 cents, I'm going to be a happy boy, but I'm also going to be sad that I'm not able to do, well, I will be able to do just as much as, I have been, but I'm going to be upset that it costs me so much to do each transaction. So I wouldn't be, I don't think it's too crazy to think that maybe Pulse Chain doesn't skyrocket as much as PLSX. More people sacrifice for PLSX, therefore Richard can make more millionaires by skyrocketing the price of PLSX versus PLS or ink. So I think, even though we see all the metrics, they go PLSX is not a great buy because there's so much potential sell pressure. I don't know. For some reason, I kind of think it's a really good buy.
Hey, let me throw this to you. You're aware that. Hey, you're aware that Coffee had the number. We did it on a stream today, but you're aware that Ethereum is making a change, right, to gas to move some of the load off the V2. We might see.
Awesome. I love
you
it.
might see, something like 90% less fees or
That's
cost
awesome.
of gas, which would be very helpful for EHex and kind of bolsters my position. But that change can also come over, right, and solve your problem on PLS.
And I just want to say about EHex, I'm not against it. In fact, I think that EHex could also potentially just explode because so many guys kind of abandoned the EHex. They're like, you know what, I don't believe in the Ethereum side anymore. You know, I haven't really actually sold any of my EHex. I have almost all. I have more EHex now than I've ever had before. Let's put it
Same.
that way.
Same. Yep.
Really?
And
Really?
if there's just way less guys that maybe they already got rid of their sell pressure, maybe they sold, you know, their EHex for PHex for 1 for 2 or 2 for 1. Who knows? Maybe they felt that that was a good. Toby, go ahead.
I wanted to add a little something to the whole EHex thing and get a little moony. Get a little moony here for a minute. The big thing that we're all hoping for is that we get into that rarefied air of like creating a greater all-time high than the first cycle, right? We've talked about this numerous times. There's only a handful of coins that ever have done it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, I can't name the other. I think there's 3 or 4, right, that have ever beat their previous cycle all-time high. We just saw what happened with Pulse Chain.
Price in Bitcoin.
We just saw it, right? But true. But we just saw what happened with Pulse Chain, right? And like everybody was like the community was kind of like at that stage of like some fear, uncertainty, and doubt was just kind of lingering, and more people were like really talking a lot about the shiny stuff. And then wham, out of left field, the sacrifice dollars came in and helped us create a new floor, and then Pulse Chain pumped, and then it pulls everything else up, right? So if I was Richard, I would want, and call me crazy, but I think Richard likes bragging rights, right? This might be like a hot take, but I would put my money on Richard liking having bragging rights. And what would be the biggest bragging right of all is him saying that EHex, and not this bullshit of like, well, EHex and PHex together, because then you got an asterisk next to it. So you're like, well, the combined value of EHex and PHex and Hex on Pulse Chain, you know, hit 52 cents. That's an asterisk. He's not an asterisk guy. He wants the record, right? So even if it only peaks above like by, you know, a nickel, tell me that that's not going to happen. Tell me that EHex this cycle is not going to break 52 cents or 56 cents, whatever the all-time high was. I can't think of it right now.
Go watch those 2 videos that we just posted, and think that's not going to happen.
Right. It's like if he's got all that money and he's got these things that he takes so much pride in, and he wants the glory and he wants to shove the haters, you know, garbage back down their throats. How could you do it better than showing them a chart that's like, ta-da, hey, bitches, that you know, it went down 99.9% since whatever. And then all of a sudden we got new all-time highs on the second cycle. Eat it.
And think about this. And now there's less sell pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of the EHex guys kind of moved over into the Pulse Chain side.
And it'd be relatively easy because look at the liquidity on the EHex side. It's like, obviously I ain't got those kind of bags. I can't pump it that high. But a guy like Richard, who has a vested interest, I'm saying.
Toby. Well, hey, could we throw a couple things to you on this? Yes, some people moved over, but it wasn't. I don't think it's so significant that it like rattled or changed the system, because I don't see the numbers like that. I mean, it's taken a long time, you know. So I admit that that some people moved over, right? But I don't see that. I would say that I'm not dependent on Richard to do anything. I think we can make the difference, right, as a community.
Yes.
To make all of this happen. I know sometimes we think about it in terms of like somebody else pumping the bags, but really comes down to us having the dedication to keep it going. And then one of my models is the $5 model, combined value, and that's not really a coincidence. You know, we're working with Axis and some different things, but just this range of idea that we could be somewhere between $2 and $5. And on the EHex side, maybe that's $2. So we're kind of backing up a little bit what you said, Toby. Now, I don't know that's going to happen. That's just one of several things. I analyzed what happened with some past Bitcoin and Ethereum, cycles and what might have happened.
But
I just want to say,
I know it's
of
going to
my
be it'll be just
opinion.
going to be 200, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Just want to say it's of my opinion. I think if EHex goes to like $1, I think PHex will probably be at $2.
Right, right. I mean, and undoubtedly it would pull everything else up with it. And here's the deal: we don't know what the first cycle
It's not
all-time high is gonna be.
undoubtedly. You guys have to stop speaking in absolutes. Okay?
Well, no, I mean,
like,
think about it.
like,
If we
it's
stay with
not
the same,
undoubtedly.
This.
well, but typically, I mean, with the
liquidity
history
providers,
thus far,
liquidity providers make decisions just like anybody else.
Yeah.
So like they're market participants. It's up to the market.
right? But all
The
speculation.
part of the market.
Yeah,
Richard's
yeah.
part of the market if he wants to be, like anybody is. We're the ones.
But all the speculation's based
People
on
who
past
own
performance.
the assets.
Like TA.
People who own the assets decide what price to sell.
Well, what's the
People who
ratio?
own the assets.
Look at the ratio though, Matty. It's like it's been anywhere from 1.5 to a little over 2, right? Like pretty much
There's
the
very little liquidity.
Yeah.
If we're talking about every
Yes.
coin within the RH ecosystem, there's there's less liquidity between EHex and PHex than anything else.
Yes, but because it's bonded with other things, and those things tend to move, and they have stayed in a range of like 1.5 to 2.2 maybe, pretty much since the launch. I mean, we had a couple outliers that were a little higher, a little lower, and we got close to parity at one point for like a split second, and then maybe we went to like 2.5 maybe. But if you look at that chart, and all you got to do is go to
that chart. What creates that chart and what creates that that ratio is the market makers deciding how much that they want to prove that the price, that this is the true price of EHex and PHex. So without the market moving it, they are telling the market you could take either side of this trade, right?
Right.
So I think it's exciting to think about how the ratios might stay the same or be different in a future where Hex reaches a new all-time high on both chains. But I mean,
think about it. Like Hex on Pulse chain, PulseX, Pulse, Inc. Those are all first cycle coins. We don't know what the all-time high for their first cycle is yet. We don't know. The first cycle's not over. So yes, have they? I mean, technically everything's got an all-time high because I mean, from day one you can say, well, that's the all-time high until it gets beat. But until the bull cycle's over, you don't know what the all-time high was. So it's kind of like what they call blue sky breakout, right? Like if we get what we all kind of anticipate is going to happen, we don't know. Could be total dog shit. Maybe we get a 10x over sack rate. We don't know. We'll see how it turns out. But until it's done, we don't know that all-time high. We don't know. We don't know. So what we do know is a number to aim for, and that's the previous all-time high for EHex, because that's the only one that's been around for a cycle so far. So my thinking is whether, and it could be a situation where it's a short-term pump. We get the bragging rights and we say, hey, boom, we hit all-time high again, or we broke all-time high from the previous cycle. Now we're in that rarefied air with the other coins that have done it, the handful that have done it, and we flip, and all of a sudden it's like it's not parity. EHex is more expensive, oh God forbid, than Hex on Pulse chain. Could happen. It could happen, and then it doesn't maintain that ratio of 1.6 to 2.5 or whatever. And that's what I was saying. Like was what Bruce was saying. If we hit 50 cents, and looking at previous ratios, then it would warrant looking at PHex hitting 75 cents to $1. Don't know that that's going to hold because, like you said, Matty, the liquidity providers and the market makers decide at the end of the day.
EHex cannot flip PHex because then it would make me look like a fool in front of Johnny Chaos, and that will never happen.
Oh man,
Johnny, you hear that, Johnny?
So are you ready to dump? Like if it gets close to happening, it's like fuck you all. My EHex is dump.
Here comes the wet blanket.
That's funny, dude. That's funny. Yeah, we can't let Johnny have any more bragging rights. Come on, we got to stop that for sure.
People are calling for Johnny in the comments, so I just sent him the link if he wants to join.
Come on in, Johnny.
There.
And we got to get Sami in here. Is Sami going to come on? Have you got Sami in for an interview yet? Like to come on Game Theory Gang so we can teach him about hex staking and T-shares? We got to get Sami in here.
Do you think I haven't invited Sami?
I'm sure you have.
So you're saying there's a chance, Matty?
Sami appears to be rolling out his elaborate plan that he put years into of like not showing his face and then like showing his face and then going on Corey Costa's stream, basically doing the show that he's already done like just with Corey kind of like in the background, right? So Sami has not done this type of a show yet. So there's
Come on,
still hope.
Sami. Come on, Sami.
Yeah.
I think
Be
Stone
fun.
is afraid of me.
Oh, shit.
Hey.
What's up, Johnny?
Total
I
chaos.
didn't think we would get a Briz and Johnny show.
I already streamed once today, so I just.
Hey, listen, be easy on the kids. We don't want to lose anymore.
No, it's just that there's factors people aren't looking at. Okay, you got to look at sub-cent hex as being within 0.003 of a dollar. That's kind of the range that was fluctuating in. It's in 0.003 of a dollar. When you're talking dollar hexes, you're not going to. I'm not going to speak in absolutes. I don't see a world where you have a $1 hex and a $2 hex. I'm sorry to just put a pin in it and pop that little bubble, but you might have a $1 hex and a $3 hex, or a $5 or a 95 cent and a $1 hex or something like that, but not like in a world where you're going to have this. When we're talking about how the ratios could be set, they could have been set. They were not set, but it was a possibility. It was always a possibility. And the whole reason I brought that up to begin with was the fact that people are speculating and they're shifting from one end of the teeter-totter to the other end of the teeter-totter, trying to pick one winning horse. And I did not want people making the Bitcoin Cash mistake. Because if you choose one or the other, you have a 50% chance of choosing to sell the wrong one. If you hold them both, you had a 100% chance that you didn't sell the wrong one. That was the whole thing with this thing. That was the whole thing with this thing. And then people made it into something that it wasn't, and it got all blown up and carried away. What is known is that it takes 1/10 of the economic energy on the Ethereum side to pump the price, which translates all the way across the board. If you do the same thing on Pulse Chain, you need 10 times the amount of money to move the price because of the size of liquidity pools.
Why do you think the liquidity pool is so much smaller over there?
Because of BankX?
I don't. Well, BankX could be a thing, but again, when we bring up BankX, everybody gets scared and they're like, BankX owns 2 days worth of the adoption amplifier.
Right.
They could dump, they could take their $1 million, and that $1 million would be back there like that, and it would all be over. And if you went to sleep and you woke up the next day, you probably wouldn't even know what happened, other than, damn, what's that wick?
Facts.
It's just there's a BankX in every coin. Okay. It's really understanding crypto in general, the fact that every successful ERC20 token, you got 10% of the supply is actually circulating, 90% is owned in the top 100 wallets. We don't know who those people are, but any one of those people could just trash the price at any moment. So, to point this stuff out, it's like trying to say cars have wheels. I mean, it's really just that lame, and it's so frustrating, right? And to watch people run around and panic and everything else, it's like, but I don't see a world where we're going to have this massive deviation for forever. I think we have the massive deviation because we're at such low levels, and that deviation looks really extreme because of these low levels. So if you want to look at it from the sake of the T shares, okay, you're already gaining more hex on the Ethereum side right now per T share because of the deviation. Okay. And if you have one that is a $1 price and one that is a $2 price, you have the difference between a $30,000 T share and a $60,000 T share. Does that seem right to anybody? And every time it goes up to 2 to 1, dude, why would you not trade one coin for 2 coins? Why would you trade 2 coins for 1 coin? So I think it'll all sort itself out. It's just a matter of taking time and let it sort itself out, and that's what it is.
That's a good theory. I like it. Now, Johnny, we'll bring the question to you. What's your one favorite crypto coin? and why?
Real quick, I just want to say a $60,000 T-share. Why are you so bearish?
Well,
Sounds cheap.
that's at a
Sounds
$2
undervalued.
hex. That's at a $2 hex. Actually, you're looking at about 2.5 years, a minimum of about $120,000 T-share. But anyway, who cares? We'll get there when we get there, I guess. The big thing, like me and Crispy were talking about today, if you go subscribe and watch the ChrispyMan over here, we were talking about how quickly the T-share goes up and how it's not just the T-share goes up in value, it goes up exponentially in value. So, you're looking at $100 T-share. Well, that $100 T-share goes to $300. Next thing you know, you're talking $3,000 to $6,000 for T-share. So, it's going to be interesting when the people that don't want to stake go to get their T-shares. I think there's going to be a lot of whining in the future about people trying to get their T-shares, knowing they could have bought like $120 T-shares a few months back.
Oh, dude.
So do you think maybe they just won't ever stake, period?
Well, that's fine too. We'll take it. Because so my pick is Hex in general. I'm actually chain agnostic. To believe it or not, I'm chain agnostic. I think that Ethereum is closer to the doors. And I think when we see new adoption coming in from the people that are already in crypto, we could see Hex on Ethereum pump a lot faster and harder, which I do believe will translate across the chain. Okay. But I can see that it being more convenient for the people that are already use and trust Ethereum. It's their brand. It's really hard to get somebody to switch the brand. And I think our new adopters may come in through Coast and the other methods that we have to buy Pulse Chain directly. And I think they will probably take advantage of the low fees and everything. I think it can all live very much symbiotically. I think the problem comes in when you try to pick a winning horse, because you're actually pitting everything against each other. And what we've seen on chain, now, Crispy, you can confirm this. What we've seen on chain is people will chase the green candles. They will dump their Hex for Pulse. They will dump their Pulse for Hex. They will dump their Pulse for Pulse Hex, and they will just bounce around like this, chasing green candles. And they're just dwindling their bag. They're grinding up their bag. They're getting bad trades and bad ratios, and they're just grinding up their bag.
Well, let me just add this though to that is, yes, some people are doing that and they're getting drawn out, but by and large, the miners aren't the ones doing that.
No, it's not the miners doing it. No.
Yeah.
The miners are pretty much staying put where they are.
Yeah.
It's people jumping from horse to horse in the RH ecosystem, and they're may or may not be wrecking themselves.
Let me get this straight. The people who are using Hex correctly are also the ones that are holding hard and fast. Yeah. And they're the ones earning the most Hex. And so that at the next tops, supposed tops, they will have the most value.
Yep.
Hey, Johnny, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the probability of EHex beating its all-time high from first cycle?
I think it's pretty good. I'm not seeing a world where it doesn't.
It's just the liquidity is too thin. It's just too easy.
The liquidity is just too thin. That's exactly the problem. Okay, so it's like $2 million, dude.
Right.
So the equation works like this: you add $2 million, which, mind you, we were doing 10 million a day in volume. Okay, you add $2 million, you 4x the price. So yes, Ethereum side could literally 4x overnight, and you'd be like, I don't get it. What the hell happened? And everybody's just going to be dumbfounded with their jaw on the floor and not even know. They're not even going to get it because they don't understand that that's how the liquidity works. And $2 million is not a lot of money. Not a lot of money when you've got Ethereum whales that are sitting on ridiculous amounts. You've got these stable coins that are waiting for a turnaround in the market. The money hasn't left crypto. It just stabled up. I mean, you can go to CoinMarketCap, which I don't hate these sites, but you can go to CoinMarketCap and you can look at the amount of stables that are actually minted, okay, and are just there. They're these stables exist. They haven't been traded for other things, right? So
And we got a ton of liquidity on the Pulse chain side.
yep.
I mean, like, some of them I'm looking at like $23 million.
Yep.
Would you say the liquidity providers have chosen their side?
No, I would say that that is people that are invested in the system trying to make sure that it's stable over there. So there is more stability on the Pulse chain side. There's more volatility on the Ethereum side. And if you pump the Ethereum side, everything benefits from that because everything has a ratio. So everything benefits to that. And I was telling Toby, I did the little thing there. It's like, don't get used to those ratios being locked because they can be changed. They are moving. There is not a lot of liquidity between Hex and Hex to hold that there, to hold that within that range. And there are things that the master chef can do. I know Maddie wanted me to tell you guys this one. There are things that the master chef could decide to do that will throw a curveball at everybody. For instance, what happens? Because this is beyond our control, okay? And it's not a guarantee that it will happen.
Good thing I'm a small target.
You look like the damn Cheshire cat, you floating head. And he's got a cat behind him too. But the master chef could decide, hey, I'm going to put a farm back. It's going to be EHex and Pulse only. What do you think happens then?
Yeah,
so it would throw a total curveball. It would cause mass hysteria. People would be pissed off, all kinds of stuff. But guess what it would do? It would put that ratio back the other direction. So there are things that can
imaginary wonderful.
Well, my thinking is like just from Richard's comments previously about wanting to kind of focus on Pulse and not look like he's favoring Hex. It was pretty obvious what they did recently with kind of helping build a new floor.
Speak into the mic.
Funds. I have no mic.
No,
so
I think his thing is
louder.
like echo canceling him. That's why it's.
Oh, is it echo canceling me? Hang on a second.
Your voice is kind of going in and out.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
There. Hopefully that's better. But yeah, what I was going to say is like because he didn't want to look like he's playing favorites, it wouldn't be too terribly difficult, especially with how little funds would be necessary to move the EHex price to equally allocate, buy pressure on all 5 RH coins, but you're going to get more pump on the EHex because of the liquidity being lower. So he could kind of do it and look like he's not playing favorites because it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to throw $10 million at all of them. And then boom, the EHex price goes bonkers. He gets his all-time high. He gets his bragging rights.
Yep. I'm back with Maddie again. It doesn't take Richard.
No.
It does not take Richard to move the ETH price. Okay, it doesn't. It only takes like $2 million to 4x the price. That's where the craziness is. Okay, and then you have to keep in mind again, we were doing volumes of $10 million a day. We're talking about $2 million here. You split that up, you get someone like BitBoy, okay, and then he keeps on with his good reviews, and say 1% of his audience decides to buy some. Boom. What if they don't want to go to Pulse Chain yet, right? I mean, look, guys, I'm 100% behind Pulse Chain. I always have been. I get kind of irritated because people think I'm discriminating against it, but it's not a proven chain in the eyes of the Ethereum network people that have used it for many, many years. And they've heard many, many narratives about the new chain that's going to replace Ethereum. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've heard that one before. So you have to keep in mind, there are people that are not going to want to change their brand, and they're going to have to dip their toe in over time. And when the green candles happen, they're going to want a piece of this or a piece of that, right? And they're going to take what's closest, nearest, and convenient to them without compromising, their ideals, right? So And
Here's the
again,
greatest part about that. We don't need those people. Those people can suck it and move on, because those are not my target audience. The people I'm looking for are the people that don't have any crypto right now. And guess what?
and
That's
those would
about
be the
8
full
billion
people.
fucking people. That's who I want to onboard. I don't give a shit about people have whatever is about, like, oh, I don't like Bitcoin because I'm into Ethereum and
Well, they're
man.
coming whether you want them or not, Briz. That's the
Well, you
problem.
just said that they're not coming. So I'm saying we don't need them. We're just going to get the no coiners that want to fucking play.
Well, I agree. Actually, I would say that we want no coiners that actually understand the difference between investing and gambling, so we don't end up with a bunch of degens that jump from coin to coin every time the candle changes color. So I would say that we need to change our marketing and stop doing this whole promoting gambling thing, which was what crypto's actually turned into. It's why, I'm not really all that interested in much in crypto, because it's all just blinky lights and stuff to jump into.
I think,
to be correct.
Yeah, I think there's a mechanism built into Hex to get people in from other cryptos and make sure they stop trading back and forth, which is called time locking. I think we need no coiners and people who are already in crypto alike to figure this out, and because there's really a lot of good stuff here.
Well, it's just a free market. We're going to get what we're going to get, and there's just no way around it.
Facts.
Yeah, it's going to be proportional always. You know what I mean? You're going to have the people that dig deep, and they're going to check out ChrispyMan, and they're going to learn about T-shares from Johnny, and they're going to pay attention to the deeper tokenomics and the game theory, the long-term plays of the delayed gratification. And then there's going to be the guys that are jumping from horse to horse, and it's like they're a trip to the casino. You're going to have that. I mean, there's no way to really do that other than choosing who you onboard. My most successful onboard are one-on-ones. I'm talking to somebody in real life. I'm sitting down with them at their computer. I'm helping them make sure that they're set up safely and accurately and learn. But there's people that maybe don't want to go that far, and that's okay too. And it's you want the easy end, here's this way. You want to learn the real shit and really be a part of the DeFi revolution, then let's go next level and let's do it. And what I was saying earlier about the Twitter space I hopped into, and I just kind of spaced halfway through. I actually want to go back and look at it and see how blank my face looks, because I totally forgot my train of thought, and then I just bailed on it. But it's all of what we're doing in the circle of crypto Twitter or YouTube even, and we're talking to the people that are already in crypto primarily. It's a giant, and no disrespect to anyone, including myself, this, it is a little bit of a circle jerk, right? Because it's the no coiners, it's the people that aren't in yet that are going to make the big difference. And then ultimately what's going to move everything is green candles. Green candles are going to make everything we've done look like horseshit. It's going to blow away. It's going to increase adoption more than whatever we did. All we can hope is that maybe we educated some people along the way, and they're going to do it safely, and they're going to come out of it and know how to responsibly take profit, protect themselves, and come out of it not wrecked, which so many people that come into the space end up wrecked, right? So yeah, I mean, the green candles, like Richard said it, with the Ethereum gas stuff, it's bear market solves all that, right? And it was true. I didn't know that. I didn't understand that when he first said it, and it was true. Those crazy gas prices went away when the bear market came. Well, guess what? Bull market's coming. So the ETH prices the gas is gonna go back up, but now we got an option. Now we got, we can go over there and do pulse chain.
Here's what's funny about that, Toby. When was Hex the most expensive?
56 cents.
Right? What was the gas? People bought more Hex at higher prices with higher gas than they did at lower prices with lower gas. Ironically enough, you know who pointed that out to me? Good old Furu. Because that actually surprised me. Because you would think if a person was losing a good portion of their Hex to gas prices, they probably wouldn't be as active. But in all actuality, that's not what it says. We had more activity at higher prices and higher gas fees than anything else. So we don't know. We're we're just now really getting warmed up. And I think that our first rally was kind of a false start, honestly, because we were, completely under the guise where nobody was paying attention to us. I mean, right now, I think all the mainstream influencers still got me blocked, whether I've got them unblocked or not now. I think all of them got me blocked. So I don't think any of them have heard a damn word I've said for the past 4 years. So, we're approaching a position where mainstream is at least acknowledging our existence, whether it's favorable or not. They are talking less shit. We are working towards actual proper listings. We are in the spotlight. So, this run could be completely devastate the last run that we had as a result of the fact that people are looking now. We did what we did when people weren't looking. So, but I'm not going to give price predictions. I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm just saying how it is.
Right on. What and we want to hear about, or I guess the audience wants to hear about your takes on PDI. But Tobiwan, I'm going to say you need to have your headphones in for the output. The input can be your computer mic, but otherwise, we can't have the echo. So,
Johnny? I saw you got a little bit savage on Twitter by B Roots in your PDI tweets, Johnny.
And I care.
I didn't see that. I've been dealing with family issues, so I haven't been on Twitter. So if you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
No, the PDI thing is very simple. No, I don't think Richard's behind it. He likes to take credit for the stuff that he does. He's not going to be interested in pumping somebody else's product that has loose ends that he can't tie up. He likes to be very much in control of everything he does. So there's my opinion on the theory of whether or not he's behind it. As far as what can it do? Who knows? It all is based on buyers and sellers. If the only people that are participating actually value what they hold, then the price can go up until the next person starts selling. But just keep in mind, it's dangerous because there are loose coins out there that are not accounted for. And usually when prices get high, people start stumbling through their wallets and go, oh my God, I've got some of that. I better take some profit. They might totally ignore you for the longest time. It's like, it's 5 cents. I don't need to worry about that. Oh, wait, it's $1. Wait. Let me see how many of those I got, right? So that's it. But can it pump? Certainly. It can pump as long as the people that are holding it are the believers and, some stray coins don't come in and start dumping on your head because there's no way to control that. It is something that's out in the wild.
Is that a threat, Johnny? It sounds like you're going to dump your PDI.
Oh, I had 30 million at one time. Just so we're clear. Because I had it before any of you guys started running around chatting about PDI. So,
boom.
But if I could have 30 million, think about that for a second, okay?
I think you should try and promote it and get it to $1 then.
You're right. I should, shouldn't I? I should do that. I should wreck everybody because that's what I'm all
Johnny,
about.
you heard it here, folks.
No.
Johnny says PDI to $1.
No. Brisology. It's not funny when people get wrecked though,
I'm just joking.
So
everybody should
a lot of
understand
people
that we're being silly.
A lot of people watch this show. We have 250 people watching now. We need some level of seriousness about it.
Yeah. Well, and people should understand that's like, we joke about this stuff, but ultimately it's like you got to be very, very careful when you're playing these other things because that's how people get washed out. And then you're just out of the game, right? It's like you can't participate anymore. It's game over.
All right.
I'm a firm believer of Hex to $1 before PDI to $1. And I did make a bet with somebody. It's 10,000 PDI. If it goes up to $1, they're getting 10,000 PDI. If Hex goes up to $1, I get 10,000 Hex.
Nice
so
bet.
I've got that bet floating now. And I pulled an Eric Wall. What do? I've got that PDI. It's setting off to the side right now. If I lose it, I lose it. I don't care. Cost me $1. or
So
something.
you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
No, I'm saying I'm smart enough to cover my bets, so I'm not out any money. And you
There
got
you
to
go.
watch getting tricked into these type of bets, because basically my risk is $1. My
Mhm.
gain is potentially $10,000 because I hedged the bet, right? And that's what Eric does to people, is he will literally go out and buy the asset at a discount, so his risk is virtually nothing, and his gain is all potential gain, right? So
Did you just say that you learned
Smart.
something from Eric Wall?
yeah, I learned he's a grubby little creep that likes to manipulate people. Yeah.
I learned because of Eric Wall, I learned where the
Boom.
block button was.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Boom.
No doubt.
Speaking about dumpers dumping on people's heads, I heard that the German police seized 50,000 bitcoins
Ouch.
worth
That's
of
right.
multiples of billions. This is game theory, gang. Gentlemen, what do you think? What's the game theory behind that?
The Germans
They
are
should
pretty
buy
smart.
Hex.
Yeah, they should
They
buy
should
Hex.
they should
Yeah.
use Ren Bridge or whatever the best cross chain swap thing is, and market buy Hex with the 50,000 Bitcoin.
That would be crazy.
So I've always
Very unlikely, but
Very unlikely.
I've always said, after Q4 and Christmas time, in Q1 of January, we're going to have a cool down period. And, the first quarter is usually a cool down period. And we have seen the markets kind of like come down. And now we see this 50,000 Bitcoin, and that should maybe depress the markets even more. But I don't know. It never does what you think it's going to do. I kind of think maybe Bitcoin might go up in value because of this huge seizure.
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin was supposed to dump on ETF, and it was a dump for ants. There's supposed to be a dump when the Federal Reserve cuts. When the Federal Reserve cuts rates, whenever they're going to do that, it's probably not going to be tomorrow, is what the market's thinking when they meet tomorrow, I think. But at some point, they will lower rates, you would imagine, and that historically has created a short-term dump and then a giant pump after that. So this time, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen this time. Whether the risk on people are going to front run this whole thing, or whether this time is not different. But I'd love to hear your guys' speculation on that.
Go somebody.
What is the price of the Bitcoin stuff right now and Ethereum? Is the market up a little bit, or
what is it like? What is it, 40K Bitcoin or something?
I don't pay attention to that. Let me see.
Let me see. It's
I pay
loading.
attention because
My
I like
internet
to
sucks.
see how it affects the rest of the market.
43K. 43K Bitcoin, 23.5K Ethereum.
So it doesn't look like it's dropping very much.
See, I don't trust anything anymore, man. With the Tether back in the day, not having backing, being able to drive the price up to $20,000, nobody knew whether or not they had money in their account. Some of these things can print whatever. It's like I just don't. I feel like mainstream crypto has become so institutionalized now that they can play any tricks on us. I just don't trust it anymore. It's like everyone's like, oh, this is the hardest money in the world. Well, not really. Not if you can create a stable coin and they can print as much as they want and support the price with it. That doesn't make it really, because there's no way to know, right? So I don't trust any of these institutionalized markets with the ETFs and the grayscale selling on people's heads, and yet the price is still where it's supposed to be. So I've given up on that aspect. That's why, again, I say I'm not really in crypto. I like the on-chain stuff that I can see, and I can see know what's happening, because there's a lot of stuff you can't file. You can't. There's a lot of stuff you can't find on Bitcoin because it's mostly traded on centralized exchanges. And that is all backbook stuff. That's all backbooks. That's not things you can actually access, because once it goes to the exchange, they're just showing you that you've got a unit of account, that it's accredited. It's like an IOU for a Bitcoin. So there's all this backdoor stuff that goes on that you can't see. So how can you account for that? You know?
Yeah. Good points.
On Dex,
I concur.
with everything on Dexes, you can actually look and see every single transaction. You can actually go and look and see, you know, where the iceberg orders and stuff are. Maybe not so much on Pulse right now, but that's another advantage actually of the Ethereum side, is there's a lot of tools that are built out that allow you to see the things. Of course, you know, now that we've got unlisted on the Ethereum side by like Matcha, you know, I haven't been on like Bamboo Relay in a while, but that's where you actually were able to see like where the limit orders were placed and stuff. You can still go on Uniswap and see where the gaps are in the liquidity and everything. But I mean, it's a lot more visible to be able to kind of sort of make those predictions and have an understanding, you know, once it breaks these levels where the actual resistance is, because you can't fake those orders. You can fake orders on centralized exchanges.
You know what grinds my gears?
Yeah. We've only got 10 minutes left in the show, and I haven't gotten to like say my my one pick. But I'm going to kind of bring in everybody on this one, because here's what I'm thinking. I'll give you my process of how I would try to pick my favorite between Hex and PulseX. And you guys have already covered a lot of really great points with like EHex and PHex. So let me bring up something a little bit different. So the question is, what is the game theory behind the system controlling what gives you the best yield, if you count buy and burn as yield? Because right now, PulseX is not, you know, like getting more rare than T-shares are per year, right? Like T-shares are getting more rare than PulseX is right now. T-shares are king when it comes to yield. You can't, for the same amount of risk, you can't get a better return in the RH ecosystem than when it comes to T-shares. But the question is, with PulseX being so, you know, kind of like, sure, it has levers of like top holders and the OA and like all this game theory behind it, you know, but the question is, you know, can that yield become more if the volume explodes on PulseX? And how do you guys see that like playing out in the future? Do you see what I'm getting at?
I get what you're getting at. Anybody else want to answer before I take up?
I'm sorry, Matt. Can you repeat that very last part again?
Like do you see a future where PulseX's volume is so high that that whoever's, or like not whoever, but like that the system gives a higher yield than T-shares to PulseX in terms of the buy and burn?
Well, doesn't that kind of like lean into the narrative of scarcity of tokens? And like, haven't we kind of seen that that's kind of a fallacy because of fractionalized tokens? It's kind of like Bitcoin. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. You got to get one.
That can be divided into 100,000 units, yeah.
Right.
Or 100 million units.
Right.
Yeah, but there's still only 21 million.
This
Bitcoin.
is good.
This
is good. I like this.
For now, when it stops being inflationary. So we'll all be dead
before
the cap never met. If they decide they want to honor it, you know. So there's that. But what it comes down to is ratios again, Matty. Everything is about ratios. Okay. Where do the ratios hold? Because if PulseX is 2.5 to 1 to Pulse, well, that buy and burn gives Pulse actually a 2.5x. You see that? And if Hex is equal to 600 PulseX, you see? So it depends on how that ratio holds up. Everything is going to move together
Interesting.
according to their ratio, and everything's going to benefit each other with its buying burn as it reflects to its ratio. The only thing it comes down to is how many things can my thing be traded for? That's it. It doesn't matter because the features are symbiotic. So when people are trying to pick a winning horse based on its feature, well, those features are symbiotic throughout all the coins. So the reason I pick Hex is very simple, because Hex is price appreciation plus production. And Hex is worth a lot of the other coins that are worth less. So when you've got a world where you have a ratio locked of 200 to 1, and a pulse itself moves up moves up to a penny. Well, Hex can be then traded for that pulse at a 201 ratio. You have a $2 Hex. It's just, you have to watch where the ratios are landing. And right now,
I see what you're saying.
They're not staying around 200. We're actually moving towards the 100 mark. Because when you realize that maybe Hex is a little bit overpriced in pulse at a 200 to 1, which was the ratio that we held for a very long time, maybe it's a little bit overpriced because of that amplification effect. So instead of maybe having a $2 Hex when pulse goes to a penny, we end up with a $1 Hex when pulse goes to a penny. But because of the ratioing, because of the ratio, if it's 100 to 1, you have a $1 Hex. You have a 1 cent pulse. There's no way to change that. You see, because the ratio is dropped. You're able to trade that thing for 100 of the other things. That's what balances that price out. So that's why ratios are everything. It's not features.
Because the buy and burn has to buy it from somewhere. And if the liquidity is between Pulse X and Hex, or Pulse X and Pulse and Hex and stuff, then is that what you're saying? It would push the price up via that mechanism?
Because the increase in price in Pulse X, and everything's a multiple. Everything's a multiple of Pulse X. Pulse X is the smallest value. Okay. So everything that is bigger than it, because it's worth, you can trade it for more Pulse X. Everything else gets an amplification of Pulse X's feature. You get, if it's 3 to 1, right? You get 3 times the effect, because one pulse can be traded for 3 Pulse X. And if Pulse X goes up in value, it's worth 3 Pulse X. It's not worth 1 Pulse X. It's worth 3 Pulse X. So if Pulse X goes up in value, and it takes 3 of them to buy 1 pulse, you have 3 times the amplification. You get what I'm saying?
Then you would have had.
Because if you're just holding 1 Pulse X, you get the 1 buy and burn.
And then you have to force multiply that by like what kind of yield you're getting, which is what you were saying with the production.
Yes.
Okay.
Because now you're producing more Hex, right? And Hex has a value to the Pulse X, and you're getting that much more Pulse X. Hex is a universal miner. Okay. You can take your yield and buy any coin you want. You can take that yield and buy any coin you want. You want to make more Bitcoin? Well, guess what? You could trade your yield with never losing your Hex count. You might lose T-share, but you wouldn't lose your Hex count. And you could buy your sats all day long. You can't do that with Bitcoin by itself. You can't do that with Pulse X by itself. You can't do that with Pulse by itself. Hex is the yield producer. Look, it has to be the premium store value on the chain or it doesn't work.
What about Pulse X?
Great points.
What about it?
Why can't that be a premium store of value?
Well, it's a non-productive asset. You're only getting price appreciation. You're not getting price appreciation plus yield, unless you're putting it into a liquidity farm.
Buys and burns itself.
Permanent loss, and then the liquidity farms can fluctuate The incentive token and farms and stuff can change, so it's not guaranteed.
I think Richard's gonna make that thing explode.
Well, I hope he does, because my hex is worth a lot of pulse hex.
Hell yeah.
Boom. Well, I think
I
we
like
had
it.
a great show tonight. We have 240 watching now, thousands on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button. Share this out. Hit the like button on X. We talked about all kinds of things with the hex badges on Twitter and pulse chain badges. We talked about PDI. Probably Johnny's summary was the best on that one, and we talked about
Oh, I
what
thought you
everybody's
did good.
favorite coin is and why.
Oh,
You know,
So-
just because
Mom,
he has 30
hate
million
it.
of them? Come on.
I hate it when you have favorites.
I'm sitting right
yeah.
here, man. I know you can't see my body,
So-
but
The Cheshire Cat. Yeah.
He's floating right there. He's floating right there.
we also talked about the pulse domains and how cool that is. So
That is cool.
shout out
That's,
to everybody
that's
for being here.
a lot of visibility.
Cool stuff.
Totally.
Cool stuff abounds, man.
And,
It's only going to get more fun from here.
Yeah.
the
So
next
why don't
2
you guys
years
go
are
around the
gonna
room
be
and
wild.
say where to find you?
You can find me on
Brisology?
Twitter as Brisology. Come by and say hi. I want to be your friend.
Aw,
All
Aw.
right.
so sweet. He's so sweet, that little
Eh.
disembodied head. I'm
Yeah,
like
well,
less important than
father.
anybody else on the screen, so I'll tell you mine real quick. At Tobiwan_Hexobi, primarily here on Tuesday nights. It's like I'm not on Twitter as much anymore, but I plan on getting my TA back in there. Sorry, Johnny. It's like, but the way that my TA works is to help people DCA responsibly and understand not to be fearful if things are starting to drop, so I can show you where support levels will be and then where some likely resistance would be, so you don't get over exuberant and like buy green candles when you could be buying more responsibly at the supports. So yeah, so at Tobiwan Hexobi on X and here on Tuesday nights with these great guys.
Crispy.
Xfire.io on the Twitter. When you're visiting Briz, visit me. And come over to Xfire.io here on YouTube for the YouTube channel. You can come and subscribe, watch
Yeah.
some videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a crazy person that rambles. You don't need to find me. I'm all good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And yeah, so really appreciate everybody participating and appreciate you guys. Until next time, stay wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Ink it up.
Oh man.